Hey everyone, hope you're well. I thought I wasn't going to do a video today. I put a tweet out. So if you follow me on Twitter, I had said I wasn't going to do one because basically I thought Ben was going to be a bit of a cheeky monkey and not go to sleep. But within like 5 minutes of us sat in his room, he drifted straight off, which is probably a side effect of the fact that he's been running riot all day. Bless him. There was a point today where I was sat watching a conference call at work. Claire was sat to my right doing some work, and Ben just appeared from the garden holding a load of flowers, which you think that's quite cute. But what he'd done, bless him, was he'd ripped them off of the plant pot full of lovely red flowers, completely broke the stem and walked up to Claire holding them out, and Claire was gutted. She carried him up to his room to tell him off, sort of put him to on the step and everything, and I don't think he understood what he'd done wrong. He just thought he'd pick some flowers for his mum, so I had to go up and talk to him, bring him down, stand at the pot, saying, you don't touch these, you just sniff them, you look at them, you don't go near them. I think he gets it, but yeah, Claire is heartbroken because they were a lovely, I can't remember what type of flowers they were, but it was these lovely red ones that we've got loads in the garden, but she put those ones near the door because they were the first ones you'd see, they're the nice ones, so on and so forth. So we're very gutted. It feels like everything's out to get it at the moment, actually, because he did that, and Molly the dog just randomly stuffed her snout into another plant pot and just started going, just trying to get at something. We had a look, and I think she was just trying to eat the roots or the bottom of the plant. There's nothing in there. There's nothing alive in there. No bugs or anything. I think she just thought, I wonder what pansies taste like, and just stuck her face in. But again, Claire was like, why? We were going with Molly that time. We were like, why must you wreck everything? Like, we had tomatoes and she was just eating them. We get her chew toys and she ignores them. We get her other things, she ignores them. If it's something we want to keep sacred, she'll just wreck it. She's a monster, but Ben's following in her footsteps at the moment, and we're going to teach him not to. Bless him. We spent so much time yesterday doing our bathroom floor. So our weekend, our routine is I always have a lie-in on Saturday and Claire has a lie-in on Sunday, and I sort of felt guilty that I think basically Friday night, I keep going back, keep remembering why. Friday night I did the podcast. Pab mentioned that I was like an hour and a half away from the end of Last of Us 2. He kept saying, I'm not sure, maybe an hour and a half, it's not long, you're not far. So I thought, it's only 11 o'clock, I'll get the PlayStation, I'll take it downstairs and I will complete it. By the time I'd actually got the PlayStation downstairs and everyone was asleep, it was like 12:10, and by 2 o'clock in the morning I had completed it. Sadly, when I came up with my PlayStation, I thought I'll sneak in, I'll set my PlayStation up, and then I'll go to sleep. And I woke Claire up like an absolute moron because I don't know, actually. I think I just put it down. I literally placed it down. It made a slight tap, and she went, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm just putting the PlayStation back. I didn't want to leave it on the floor because I knew Ben would just tread on it or something insane. The game was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. If you've not played either of them, play them both. Get the first one and the second one. Play them back to back. You'll love it. It's very exhausting, very tiring, just a very big ordeal of a game from a story point of view. No motion sickness. Naughty Dog have cured motion sickness for gaming. Everyone needs to copy them. I can't believe it. They had a thing in there where you could set it. They put a little dot in the screen so you didn't get sick while you were walking, but they also had these other things you could do, like moving the camera and slowing the blur and the motion. But the thing that helped me most was if you were lost, you could just press the stick and it would point you where you needed to go. Now, in every other game, I get sick when I have to run around in circles looking for stuff. In Final Fantasy VII Remake, I was underground in that, trying to find a door. I couldn't find one. Running back and forth just wiped me out. I'm dreading going back to that because it hasn't got this extra bit of design in it that Last of Us did. But anyway, that was great. Really pleased with it. If you have any kind of disability, Last of Us 2 has basically covered it. It was a great game. Really glad I got it. All of this stuff. Because I woke Claire up, it meant I had to then go in the other room and read some comics for a bit. We have an agreement whereby I stay out of the room until she's fallen asleep, and then I come in and I get into bed and go to sleep. And it's just because if I fall asleep, I don't always snore, but if I do snore, she can't get to sleep and it's terrible for her. So I've agreed to kind of just go to bed a little bit after her, and then she can fall asleep. So I ended up staying out there till like 4. I was just like, oh my God, I'm so tired. And then Ben come in at like bloody 7 or 8, something like that. I think it was 7. Woke us all up. I managed to stay in bed till about 10:30, 11, just trying to catch up on sleep. But then obviously felt really bad because I think I got up I'm trying to think what we actually did on Saturday. We didn't do very much. I think I basically just played some of the Pokemon stuff. Saturday's just a blur. I can't even think. I think we went to B&Q because we bought some floor stuff. So we went to B&Q, did the shopping, barely did it. Oh, we went to her mum's, had some cake, and I think that was basically the whole day. By the time we got back, it was like 7 o'clock at night. Yeah, I think it's basically like I had my breakfast and then we were like, let's go B&Q. We were back in 2 hours. When we got back, it was dinner time. Then we watched a film. We watched Django Unchained, which is fantastic. I was well impressed with that. Watched it on Sky. And my mate said to me, how many of the top 200 IMDb films had I seen? And I think it was 200. It might have been top 50. It was a lot of films, and it turned out there was like 5 I hadn't seen, and that was one of them. So we just happened to be flicking through. There it was. We watched it. Fantastic. So we end up having, because we started watching that quite late, we ended up staying up till about 1:30, 2 in the morning again, even though I was knackered. And I said to Claire, I promise you I'm going to get up in the morning. I promise. I have to. I owe you a lie-in. You've not had a lie-in in ages. I keep having lie-ins that are excessive because I'm so knackered. I will get up. And I'm not going to lie. Deep down, I thought, there's no chance I'm getting up in the morning. Like, I really want to. With all the will in the world, I want to. But I'm only human. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, because she's always got more stamina than me for getting up. She is good at just waking up. When all the kids were babies, she was just able to power through. I'd do my best, but I'd be making mistakes. I'd be almost falling over. I'd be just a mess. So I was nervous. But Sunday morning, Ben opened the door to our room and I literally sat up, got him, brushed my teeth and went downstairs in like a minute. It was just weird. I don't know what happened. I just woke up and was like, right, we're going downstairs. She'd just about been woken up by him, which was gutting because I was hoping I'd managed to avoid that. But she's very, very light sleeper, so it wasn't going to happen. He was in a delightful mood. It was absolutely amazing. He was so cute. We were having a laugh, watching some programs and whatnot. The moment Claire was ready to get up, I said to her, let's just start this floor. We'll be done in an hour and a half, 2 hours tops. It'll be no problem. I was like, Emily, watch Ben, you know, in her room. So we were in the room next door. I said, just play with him. It'll be fine. I mean, she doesn't listen. I was saying to her, get a car, run it around the floor, play with him for a bit, it'll be fine. She just would sit there on her phone while he just did whatever. And then I'd be like, you got to play with him, you got to watch him. He'd be going in his room, I'd be like, you got to watch him. So I kept harassing her. Eventually she got it, bless her. I know she's only 11, it's not her job, but I was just like, come on, just play a game with him. Like, you play with him all the time, just play with him now. So we started this floor. And I kept saying to her, it's only an hour, just play with him. It'll only be an hour. It got to 2 o'clock in the afternoon and we were about halfway done. And I said to her, we're going to have some lunch. I know lunch is late. I know you're hungry. I'm sorry. Like, they all had breakfast earlier in the day, obviously. I was like, you know, you haven't had lunch. Let's eat lunch together now. And then we'll do it. We'll be done in an hour. It'll be fine. We went back upstairs. We spent another 4 hours just faffing around. We were supposed to have a roast dinner and we realised at like 6:30 that it was past dinner time and we really needed to just eat whatever we had. We looked, I mean, Claire was exhausted. I don't trust myself with the knife, and the fact I was so tired I was forgetting words. I forgot it was tiredness at first and I thought something was wrong because I was going to like pick up the sharp thing and, you know, run it along the plank of wood. I'm gonna put it in the, and I'm like, bath, and I couldn't piece words together. So and I just didn't trust myself with a knife anyway. Claire always does those little kind of things, the bits that involve finesse. I've said this before, she does the finesse bits, I do the heavy lifting and the grunt work and the thinking about where. So I'd be saying to her, you need this end here, you need that there, you need to cut along this shape. I was sort of measuring out the paper around the toilet and stuff like that, but she has to do the finesse stuff because I will cock it up. The one time she asked me, because she'd cut and then she'd snap it apart. And she couldn't get this bit done, and she was like, "Just try and snap this." And I was like, "I'm gonna wreck it. I'm gonna wreck it." So like Wreck-It Ralph. I sort of went like that. It didn't move. I don't even know exactly how to explain it. Like I kind of just like tensed a little bit. My arm's not even moving because I've got no muscle. You can see my arm moving a little bit there, right? So I went like that. And it just completely snapped and this bit was just flopping off. And so we just thought, right, that can go behind the sink. So that's now behind the sink flopping away. I couldn't believe it. I literally barely barely twitched, and I snapped it, and I said to her, this is why you're doing it, this is why you're doing the important bits. So I spent most of the day laying on the floor, looking at lines, trying to force stuff in place, trying to work out the angles or whatever we needed to do, the bits we needed to cut. Ben kept like elbow dropping me on the back. He would just come in out of nowhere, jump on my back. He come in at one point while I was trying to hold something in place for Claire, and just started putting toys on me. He had a dancing drum that was just, it bangs its feet while it drums and dances around, and it felt like a massage that time. I didn't quite mind that, but it was just drumming away on my back. He jumped up and down. I kept going, Emily, come and get him, I need you. It's only an hour, it's only an hour, it's only an hour. And she's like, it's been 5 hours, Dad. Like, this is ridiculous. She's like, I want to watch Netflix, I want to play Roblox, I want to talk to my mates. I'm like, you can spend 1 hour with your brother, Emily. And yeah, as I say, it was like, I think by the time we'd got the kids eaten, we didn't eat them, we fed them, and sent them to bed, it was like 8:30, 9. I think it might have even been later, because I remember Claire saying, let's watch Django, and she laughed and said, it's a long film. It was Saturday we watched that. That was, sorry, I'm getting lost. It was Parks and Recreation we watched last night. She was like, it was like 9 o'clock, and we were just like, let's watch Park and Recs. And we were only going to watch one, and then we were going to go to bed, and we ended up watching like 5 of them. I think I got the beers out. I was just like, I need to just relax and de-stress from the day. I didn't want to fall in the trap of watching another Django and ending up getting a bed at 1. But I thought I was going to be knackered again. And then this morning, I went to bed, it was all fine. This morning, I just irrationally woke up at like 6:30. And I thought, what's going on with my brain? I'm suddenly capable of waking up early. I was foolish because I laid in bed. I kept just dozing, ignoring all of my alarms going off, turning them off, thinking, I've got ages. And then at 7:55, Claire reminded me that the man was coming to do the shed. Well, it's probably 7:50. I had a little bit of time. It was about 7:50, and the bloke was coming to do the shed at 8. And I looked at my phone in a panic, and it turned out he texted me like a minute before she'd said it, saying he was going to be 15 minutes. So I had 15 minutes to have a shower, get ready, and go downstairs. That sounds like ages, but I managed to get downstairs as he was here, which says how long I take to get ready if I'm rushing. I thought, and I said to the kids he was going to be out in the garden all day. I said he was going to be out there probably for at least 5 hours, and the dog was going to have to stay inside and all of this, blah blah blah. He turned up at 8:05 and he was gone by 9. It was all built, it was all done, it was perfect, it looks great. Went in there, it looks good, it's all in one piece. I mean, I know it's in one piece because at one point he was on the roof just hammering stuff in, sat on it. Now I know I wouldn't have done that. I'd have been leaning on it with some sort of step ladder trying to reach and hammer stuff, and it would have taken me twice as long. But he does this obviously day in, day out. He absolutely smashed it. It was just impressive watching him put it up. I'm glad I got him to do it. I said on Twitter, I was like, I'm not doing DIY again in future. We've already bought a cabinet to go under the sink to just hide some of the bits, like the floppy bit that I mentioned. We're buying some stuff to skirting to go around the outside of the room, around the toilet, just covering up all of the sort of bits that aren't quite perfect. I mean, that's normal, that's what you're supposed to do, but being aware of it just gets me a little bit, because like normally other people do it and I'm like, yeah, that looks great, and I don't look at those bits. But I'm proud of what mainly Claire did. I feel like I helped think it through. There's a couple of points where she was going to do something and I realised I pointed out the flaw in it, so I felt like I did contribute. But yeah, I was just shocked how quicker this guy works, being a pro and knowing what he's doing compared to us. A little bit embarrassing. But no, we've done 2 of our big projects now. Toilet floor, shed done. The shed being done means we've emptied out the cupboard under the stairs, which means that Ollie has now got a potential sensory room to go into. We're debating whether he's going to use it. When I asked him, I mentioned it to him, and he said, I can play my games in there. And I was like, a little bit of me thinks if we got a telly in there and a console, he could just play games in there and he might quite enjoy it. It might help him de-stress because it'll be dark, he can play a game, it's what he wants. The trouble then would be keeping him out of it. I wouldn't want him going in there all the time. He gets a bit hooked on things, as you can imagine. He's obsessed with these FGTV songs at the moment, like Jerky Turkey and Walk Like whatever the baby in their show's called. And I can't remember, there's these Australian girls and a boy who, I can't remember what they call themselves, but they sing a song called Legendary Humans, and he plays it over. I think I mentioned this before. Today, I made him turn them off, and it caused a proper hissy fit. It's the closest we've come to a meltdown. It wasn't a meltdown, but I think we were close. The way he was just all angry all of a sudden and got really anxious and fed up and stressed. The closest we've come at the moment. In lockdown, it's been quite relaxed, but he got so rude and mean and everything that I thought, I'm getting rid of this. I mentioned on Twitter again, I've deleted YouTube off of our telly because I'm kind of fed up with him getting wound up if any of us take offence to what he's watching. And these songs are terrible. Like, this guy has got, I don't know, 30 million views per song. Probably most of them Ollie. But he's making money out of them, but they're not good. Well, they're not good by like rap standards or music standards. They're good by a kid's standards, I suppose. I don't mean that offensively. They're just songs about Roblox, you know? So I'm just sick of hearing them. But yeah, that kicked him off a little bit. So then I'm trying to think what I got under. Oh yeah, so we were saying to him about the room, and he sort of said, yeah, I'll use it. But we've sort of agreed if we set it up and it's right and he doesn't use it, we are thinking we might just get a narrow desk and turn it into an office for when we need to just crack on with work. A light and a desk and a monitor in there, it'll probably do all right. It's somewhere to just set up a lap. I could write in there while we wait for the garage. The fact that that's all done now and we can empty the garage out means we're this much closer. I mentioned before, my parents had said they're selling their house, and if they sell without it being sort of rinsed by the people negotiating and stuff like that, then they'd be willing to put some money towards helping us convert the garage as part of basically a payoff for not moving here. Let's not lie, let's not beat around the bush. They don't want to move here, so they're going to pay off by turning my garage into a bedroom. I don't mind that. I benefit massively from that, but yeah, I'm hoping their house sells well. They're on the market. They've had 2 viewings today. But Dad opened a fortune cookie that said he was going to get an offer he can't refuse. I'm hoping that doesn't mean a gangster's going to turn up and tell him that he has to do something or he's going to shoot him, because that's what happened in The Godfather, wasn't it? Something like that. I don't know where that kind of meme thing comes from, but yeah, I'm hoping it's not a bad threat and it is just a good house offer. I joked with him that he needs to get people in a bidding war where it just ends up going for hundreds and hundreds of thousands above the valuation, but I don't think that's going to happen in Essex unless some sort of major thing happens that means Essex somewhere people want to live. Although they're saying that they are building like our equivalent to Disneyland over the river from where they live, so yeah, we could regret them selling it. It could turn out that they're going to sell the equivalent of having a house down the road from Disneyland, 100 years ago, or whenever the park opened, and he's just selling it, and then suddenly they open the doors and all the houses shoot up to millions and they're holiday homes, and he's just made a stupid mistake. I guess he wants to move to Norfolk. I want somewhere to go on holiday that's leafy and green in Norfolk. I don't want to go to Grays and their equivalent of Disneyland. I could commute that, to be fair. But anyway, waffling a little bit. So hopefully that'll be sorted. It's exciting thinking that we're this little bit closer, perhaps, maybe. Even if we're not, Claire's now got her garage fund going, which, don't get me wrong, it's not big, but it's like, I don't know, I think we worked out we were like a 12th of the way there. We were like, yeah. So if we do that 12 more times, we can do it. I did realise I've still got my old iPhone to sell, which would get us like an extra 24th of the way there or something stupid, I don't know. But I can't decide whether I'm comfortable with someone coming to my house to pick it up or whether I'd eBay it and then risk someone being an idiot on there or what. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We've had a busy day with Emily. Had her leaving, it's not leaving assembly, that's on Thursday or Friday, but she had like a teacher called it the last day in class, but it was over Zoom. Everyone in class already, so the key worker kids were in there waving goodbye to everyone, she chatting to them. She had to do like a all about her thing where she did like her best friends, her best memories, things she likes, and then just some pictures. That was quite fun. I feel like I'm making it worse for her because I keep kind of reminding her that she's going to miss these things or not see that thing. Not so on the nose, but I'm like, well, what about this thing? Or I was saying to her, well, you've not got any of your boy mates on there and you're not going to see them again. Don't you think they'd want to be represented in your picture? And then she was remembering that she had like 3 or 4 other mates she hadn't put down and was frantically trying to get pictures of them to put in it so she can remember them in it and all of this. And it's hard seeing her not really know what to do because she's not had to leave something before, but I keep reminding her there's certain things she needs to turn up for, she needs to put in, she needs to try and do. They've got their meet up on Friday in the park where they all eat pizza and sign each other's tops and stuff. I'm slightly worried that's because the parents have all gone nuts in the WhatsApp group. I've not taken part in this after last time, but they're all angry at the head because apparently a school in Peterborough agreed to allow they've sent their year ones home and allowed the year sixes in instead for like for Thursday and Friday this week, because it's their last week. Now our head has just gone, sorry, can't have you in, there's no room for you, it won't work, so we're just going to do an assembly over Zoom on Friday where we just say bye, and it's going to be really emotional and heartfelt, and we're going to make a lot of effort on it, but you know, that's the best we can do. And all the parents in this group were just like, I'm writing him a letter, I'm just going to tell him off, I'm not happy. And I think like 8 of them wrote letters in the end. And then they were all week, has anyone heard from him? And then today he replied going, look, I'm sorry, we're following the guidelines, it's a pandemic, I've done everything I can, not allowing it, sorry, I'll see you on Friday. So they're kicking off big time. They're all now like, no, I'm going to reply to this, I'm not having it. Again, I'm staying out, because part of me agrees with him. Part of me is just like, yeah, we're in a pandemic, it sucks, it's not going to make it any better, forcing them into school. This video was a bit awkward they did earlier, because it was like, what do you want to ask each other? What do you want to know about each other? And I don't know. Someone said, why do you like pandas, to this other boy who was on the video. And he was like, they're cute. I don't know. They just didn't know what to say to each other. I think all the adults are trying to really push the make the most of it kind of thing, but they don't care yet. They won't care until they're older, and they probably won't. I don't miss primary school. Primary school was horrible. But yeah, they're kind of like, they're not really getting it at the moment. They'll get it on Friday, and I'm glad. I've said to Claire, I'm not going. Claire can take her. I'll cry, and I don't want to cry because that seems really lame. But if I see Emily cry, I'll cry, and I'm a grown man, for God's sakes. So yeah, I'm just going to stay home. And if Emily comes home sad, I'll try and avoid being sad then. What was I going to say? But my worry with that, because the parents have made all this big deal about how it's not a problem, we should all be in school. One of them suggested we storm the school and just have our own party on the field, and I was like, really? You wanna storm a government building? That's going to go down well. We'll be considered terrorists. We'll be arrested for, biological warfare against a school in the middle of a pandemic. That's just silly. So I'm not doing that. But I am now convinced, and this is going to sound awful and a bit over top and a bit mad, but I am convinced that, I mean, hopefully we've already had it and we'll be fine, but I'm convinced they're going to all meet up in this bloody field now, and one of them's going to cough, and it's just going to be that. We're going to have to go in 14 days bloody quarantine, and people are going to get slightly sick over it, and it's just because these parents have been so silly and over the top. I just think it would be the most ironic outcome now. It just feels like someone's probably have stitched them up and have not realised, because they're all being a bit, oh, it doesn't matter, it's not a big deal, you know what I mean? Even the head pointed out, Peterborough had like the 11th highest infection in the country, rate of infection in the country. We're not that far from Leicester, which is in lockdown still. Yeah, I kind of feel like we're okay to go around and do stuff, but not to that extent. This is basically 30 households meeting up in a park to have pizza together and sign shirts. I don't know, it feels a little bit off. But equally, I don't want to deny my daughter her last time with her friends, you know? She's not going to see most of them again, so it just feels a little bit off. I don't really know what the plan is. I think their plan is to socially distance while they do it, and just, it won't, obviously it's not 30 friends who are all in the same social group, so they'll probably be like standing a couple of meters apart, whatever the distance is, you know, with their families, just passing things back and forth and eating pizza. I don't know, sounds like that's the plan, but I don't know. I'm too cautious to worry to just be slapdash about that. And I did point out to Claire though, we have had more people visiting our house during the pandemic than at any point before that, because we've had the patio done, we've had the shed done, we had something else done, we had to skip, we've had Amazon deliveries, food deliveries, and then today we had the hairdresser around. I've had a haircut. We had a card put through. It turns out the lady lives literally the row of houses behind ours, about a few down, and she popped a card through, and then Claire happened to see her on Facebook as well, so she booked her. It was very reasonable, and I feel like she did a good job. We had a good chat about I haven't washed my hair, so it is a little bit curly. I haven't got anything in it today because of the lady coming, so it is a little bit off, but I think it's very tidy. So it's quite funny actually, because she cut Ben's hair and Emily's hair. Emily only had it cut like about 5 centimeters to get the ends off, and Ollie just wasn't having it. He didn't want to do it, and in the end we convinced him to. And then I told her that Ollie is autistic, and you know if he's a bit sensitive about it. I wasn't sure how much she knew about autism, so I was saying, so he does feel a bit sensitive, and he was going, I'm not sensitive. It just hurts. And I was like, no, you're like, it wouldn't hurt us, but you're being a bit sensitive about your hair being touched and things like that. I'm not calling you sensitive. I'm just saying your senses are higher. And he was like, yeah, I feel pain more. And I was like, just whatever, Ollie, just have your hair cut. This is after losing the TV, so he was a bit off anyway. But in chatting to her, she was saying that her son's, I never know whether to say has Asperger's. I don't know what correct me on the terminology. She said has Asperger's, and she was saying that he got diagnosed when he was 8, and we were just chatting then about how his school was really bad, it was awful, and it got better. And I said, well, you know, ours have been quite supportive. The head kind of doesn't get it sometimes, but he's starting to. She was saying, had we lived here long? And I said, well, yeah, we were the first ones in. And she said, yeah, she was the same in her bit, which makes sense because they're new builds. And then I can't remember whether I said it or she said it. I think I said it. I said, do you hear the music? And she was like, oh yes. She was just like, yeah, we hear it from our house and we hear it when we walk by. It's very loud when we walk by. And I said, yes. She was like, there's someone else around here that's also quite loud. And I was thinking, oh no, don't say us. She said, no, there's a fella. She just said, there's a fella kind of, it's not the house behind you, but it's near him, plays Meatloaf constantly. And I was thinking, I don't hear Meatloaf. I don't think next door are playing Meatloaf. I don't think it is. I'd have to Shazam some of the annoying songs they play. They could be Meatloaf. But yeah, she was saying that it's just mad how loud these people are and all of this. And I said to her, yeah, there are a problem. They've built their jacuzzi. They've built, all of this. And I was this close to telling her, which I'll get to in a moment. But she was just saying how annoying they were and now they need to sort it out. And I was just laughing, saying, yeah, we live next to it. We're kind of getting used to it now. But yeah, it was interesting having her around, just chatting to her about these things. And then she left and Claire came in and was like, did you mention next door? And I was like, yes, I did briefly talk to her. She also said she used to work at the guy who used to cut my hair. The one who ignores my advice, my requests, sorry, when I say stop cutting, and he just carries on cutting and wrecks my fringe and makes me have a bigger see-through patch. I was like, my hair is thinner at the front than it is at the back. You know, partly just being a man, being older, partly because of my thyroid. But if he leaves it alone, it looks okay. You know, it's not going to change. It's not going to get worse. It hasn't got worse in years. It's just how it is. And she was just like, well, if I just cut here, it's fine. She was like, it's not hard to do. Like, I don't understand. She was like, he is annoying. She used to work with him and said he's just rude and doesn't listen. And I was trying to tell her about, they had an apprentice in who was cutting my hair. And I was like, that looks great. You know, I'm happy with that. That's good. And then the guy come over and just went snip, 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 snip. And I was just like, you've just made it worse. You've somehow made me more bald at the front, you absolute plonker. I wonder whether I've offended him and I just never realised. But I just stopped going there before the pandemic hit, and then this lady's now doing her hair, and I think we'll probably just get her around because she seems all right. But she was just telling me lots of that. It was interesting just knowing a local now. It's fun. But after she left, Claire said to me, did I mention the fact that I was on the radio this week, just gone on Thursday? And I was like, no, I did not, because I don't want that getting back to next door. Although it'd be quite funny if it was. So I'm going to put a clip at the end, which is going to make this look like a really long video. If I can get it up. If I can't get the clip up, that's just part of the video. It would just be a black screen with me talking and you can just hear the audio. If I can't get it up, I'll put a link underneath with where you can get it. But basically, yeah, I was on Radio Cambridgeshire. I went by the name Steve. Well, I said Steve and they kept calling me Stephen. It was very interesting. They'd booked me in and then they had to cancel. And then I asked whether they had cancelled me completely because I wasn't sure what was going on. I was kind of like, you know, what have I done? Why have they looked at something I've said online and decided they didn't want me on? Have they realised I'm a YouTuber and they don't want me on or something like that? But she was like, oh no, we pushed it back and we're supposed to tell you and no one did. So she said, we'll do it Thursday. They called me up at like, I think it was 7:15ish. And they were like, is that Steve? Is that Richard? And they're chatting away to me. Like, I'm going to stop calling you Richard and I'm going to call you Stephen. And they kept saying it over and over again. And then they passed me through to this woman who was the presenter. And she was just chatting away. And I'm not going to lie, I was bloody nervous at the start of that. I didn't think I would be. I thought, even when I think it was the weight, because they basically put me on, and I was listening to the radio through the phone, and it was just music, la la la. And then she was talking like, oh, you know, many was in lockdowns, me included, noisy neighbours, blah blah blah. With me today I have Stephen from Peterborough, who, you know, blah blah blah. And she's like, how you doing, Stephen? And I started talking, and I come out with so many little radio cliches. And thanks for having me. I didn't say I didn't say long time listener, first time caller, which I was considering saying, and I just thought I'm not, so I'm not gonna. But I talked away, and I think you can tell when I relax a little bit, because I start kind of cracking little jokes, or not trying to be funny. I don't mean that in a big Eddie way. I just kind of, the Sheepdog stuff comes out, kind of thing. I start talking like I do. I just start riffing. But when I come off the phone, I think right at the end, if you do listen to it, right at the end, I'm talking and I just stop suddenly, and it really sounds like they've just cut it, like you're done. But what actually happened is my boss was ringing me, and my phone was ringing. I didn't know who it was, and then my phone was going while I'm holding it, and I'm thinking, who is that? Like, I just stopped talking. I was like, who is that on the phone? Like, is it someone who's heard this? What's going on? And then she was like, well, thanks very much, Stephen. And then she carries on talking, and I just had to stay on the line listening in case they needed to say anything. I said, thanks for being on. And I looked at my boss. So I rang him back thinking, oh my God, is he going to say, like, yeah, I've heard you on? But he was just asking me a question. But then I come off and I was just buzzing. I was like, really, like, you know, not like how exciting I'm famous up in the rain. Just that was fun. I really enjoyed that. I got to just talk about it. They were asking me what I thought the council should do, and I was saying that rather than me having to talk to the neighbours first, they should have sent a letter just saying, there's been reports of this behaviour, can you stop it? And just a completely neutral, just please get rid of the noise and see what happens. Like, you know, she agreed with me that just going over there isn't really an option when you've got to live next door to someone for the rest of time. You know, it is in a good relationship situation, but it's not when it's relative strangers. I did say to her, they've been quite good lately. The noise is only kind of at weekends now, really, and I'm just used to it. I'm just used to the crap. When I hear it now, I'm like, oh, that song again, you know. But I thought it'd be fun to put the clip up so you can listen to it if you want to. I thought I'd put it at the end, because then if you just don't care, you can just ignore it. You can end now. If you do care, it's there. I don't think anything else particularly happened. This has been a long video, and it's going to get long because it's like 11 minutes to clip. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up, I think. We've got nothing really else going on this week. It's good watching the football. I did not expect Spurs to win. I'm not going to take the mickey out of anyone who supports any, you know, Arsenal or anyone, because I don't think it's warranted. We're both in a position where things haven't gone very well, and I don't like lording that kind of thing over, especially because you'll beat us the next time we play. Do you know what I mean? It's just the way it is. But I hope that everyone's all right. Everyone's enjoying themselves. Hope you're all well. Let me know how you're getting on in the comments. And I'll say goodbye and thanks for listening now, but I'll either segue into the clip, or it'll just say thanks for watching, subscribe, like, comment and all that, and then below in the comments there'll be a link to the video, which will just be, well, it'll be a sound file. I think it'll play if you just click it, but you know, you'll figure it out. I'm hoping I'll figure it out. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the week. Cheers. Bye.
Right, let's talk about noisy neighbours now, because obviously a lot of us have spent a lot more time at home this year than we ever do usually. A lot of people sitting outside in the good weather, and noise has become a real issue. You know what it's like? Your garden's next to their garden, and you want to have a nice day out, but so do they, and the noise starts to compete, the radios. It can become a nightmare, can't it? And some parts of the UK have seen the amount of noise complaints double regarding neighbours during lockdown. Joining me now to talk about his experience is Stephen from Peterborough. Good evening, Stephen.
Hi there, Emma. You all right?
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Stephen. First of all, as I was saying, you might not have heard because you might not have been on the line yet. I totally sympathise with this because I've had horrendous neighbours and I know it can be a nightmare. Just explain a little bit about your experience and how it's kind of upped during lockdown.
Bless you. Well, we've always had a bit of a kind of ongoing noise problem. I had a family visit, and it's always like that. And we kind of just nod and think that's normal, that's fine. You know, it's only at weekends. We're at work all day. We don't really see it, but obviously lockdown hit, and there we were in the garden, just constantly wham, you know, all these old sort of songs on playing over the radio, over their device, and they just have it up as loud as it possibly goes. And you'd hear him I'd be sat there in the kitchen doing some work, and you just hear them tell their device to come on volume 11 or whatever it is, and you suddenly just wham blasting out at the top of the highest volume, and I just shut the doors and windows, and you'd still be hearing it, almost the same noise basically. And yeah, it's just been constant. We thought we'd get some respite when the rain came in, when it started to get a bit wetter, and they've invested in a hot tub which has a motor in it that's extremely loud, and because it's so loud, the music has to go louder. They put a little roof on that. They're out there all the time in it, and it's just never ending now. It's ridiculous.
And do you have any relationship with them? Do you ever say hi? Do you know who each other is or not?
We kind of, I mean, we'll say hello. If I'm putting the bins out, we say hello. If I see them out in the street, we say hello. And, we'll take each other's posts, that kind of thing. And it's all been there's been the odd time when stuff we've had to talk about has been a bit awkward, but it's never been a bad relationship. It's never been negative. And I kind of feel like if I go and say something and they don't react the way I kind of would hope they would, then, especially now it's been so long, at first we thought it would die down, and it's just got worse. And we think anytime we bring it up now, it's just going to look like an odd decision to bring it up at this moment. But I also worry that if they say, well, deal with it, we're not breaking any laws, then we're stuck, aren't we? If they start them playing it from that point, it looks like they're doing it to spite us. And I don't want to get in a position where every time they have it on really loud, I feel like they're doing it to make a point. So I'm kind of stuck in this catch-22 of if I say something, I feel like it's going to make things worse.
And it's also really unpleasant to have that on your doorstep. You can't get away from it. If you've got a sour relationship with your neighbour, it's right there in your home, isn't it?
This is it. My son, I've got an autistic son who can't really keep it to himself when he's upset, and he will go in the garden, and a couple of times he's gone out and just said, "Oh, it's too noisy, turn it down." And I've kind of brought him in because I thought, well, he said his piece, I'll bring him in, I'll get him calmed, get him feeling a bit more comfortable. But their reaction to that is to turn it up because they've heard a kid shouting over the fence or something. And I thought, well, if that's the reaction to him telling them it's too loud, the reaction to me telling them is going to be just as negative. And so that sort of put me off. But I don't fully know whether that's why they turned it up. So I'm kind of stuck in this position of, I just don't know how it's going to play out. And we have to live next door to them for at least, however long it takes, sort of thing.
And how does it leave you feeling? Is it sort of anger or just sort of exasperation?
I'd say recently, because of the rain, it's not been as bad. But when it was in its height, I mean, all through sort of May and start of June, it was really sunny, and it was just exhausting because they'd be out there. I've got a 2-year-old I put to bed at about sort of 7:30ish, and you'd hear the whirring of the machine out there, the music playing, and he wouldn't go down, and then he'd finally fall asleep. But you'd be hearing them out there till sort of near around 11ish, usually a bit further, but they're starting to turn off before 11, and you'd be thinking, my son's in the room next to it, he can't go to bed until it's quiet, and so he'll be sat with his sister watching telly in her room, and we're all just sat there. I mean, I at one point I was sat there, it was 10:30 at night, and I just ended up filming a bit of it just to show people how noisy it was, because I wasn't sure whether we were being unreasonable, and everybody who's seen that has said that it's far worse than they thought. They thought that it was a little bit of noise, and maybe we were being a bit precious, but it's just excessive.
Well, I think we've got a bit of a clip of that. Let's see if we can listen to that now. Just sort of gives you an idea. Obviously, it's a little bit difficult to get across on the radio, but just having that all the time when you are trying to relax. I mean, it must also interfere with your ability to just sit in your garden and have a lovely evening, just quietly.
So when I filmed that, it was, I think, about 9:30, and as I turned the camera off, they started singing along. And I tried to turn it back on, but it was just, it didn't fit right. So I just left it. I just thought, no, people, it's bad enough how it is. I don't need to lay it in even further with them singing. But yeah, we're just at a point where we were out in the garden, I think the weekend after that, trying to lay some bricks and do just tidying up the garden. I'm sure everyone's been doing the same while they've had the opportunity at home. And we put on a little bit of music low down, and theirs came on straight away over it. So I ended up in a bit of a war of attrition with them turning mine up, them turning theirs up. Their system's up louder than ours, unfortunately, so they drowned us right out. But then I think one of them must have said to the other to stop it, because it kind of went quiet, and I just thought, I'm taking the win on this one. It's quiet. But it does intrude. We had a little barbecue, and they were straight on with the music again, and it's like, it's not bad music, but it's bad when you've heard it every day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I've not got any problem with Wham and the bands like that. And when you hear
Don't
them
make this about
constantly,
George Michael.
Exactly. But this is the thing. I said to someone, I'm sick of them, and they're like, you can't say that. And I said, well, I can, because I'll be on the phone at work, and suddenly you'll hear him come on, and you're like, no, not now, George.
Do you think, is it ignorance or arrogance? Do you think it's that they don't care, or do you think they're just not thinking about you and being civil?
I thought it was ignorance for a long time. I thought because we live in quite an enclosed street. The houses aren't on top of each other, but the gardens are close, obviously, and the sounds echoing off. I mean, there's a house at the back of our house, and there's houses across the road, and they've put in this jacuzzi, this system they're building with roof over it. They're trying to turn their garden into a bit of a hot spot for bringing their friends over and having these little get-togethers once obviously COVID's gone, and it just seems like an odd thing to do in such a built-up area. We don't live in the kind of area where you'd have a nightlife in your house. It's a bit of an odd thing to be. So that seems really odd that they think that's appropriate. And, everyone here, I mean, they've got little kids. Everyone on the street's got little kids. So it just seems odd that they think it'd be right to live in an area like this and party till midnight, out in your garden. It's just odd. And if it was once or twice, if the other side doing it, we'd just say, oh, good on them, have a good party, enjoy it. But not daily and every weekend, and we kind of thinking, I don't really want to go outside, I'll sit in the house. I was sitting out front, and then it started getting noisy out there, and I thought, I've got to sit in the middle of the house trying to balance where it's noisy.
And of course, like you say, if it's once, you just let it go, but the tedium of that over and over again is so frustrating. Have you looked into, I don't know, help from the council or anything like that?
So I went on the website, and it said that legally you're allowed. Apparently, we don't have a right to silence in our house. I read we don't have a right to, not necessarily silence, even just peace. And it said that if they're making noise up to 11, it's not illegal. Apparently, I might be wrong on this. This is just the advice I read on the website. And then it was saying if we did have a problem with the noise and we were bothered by it, they would only consider kind of pursuing it if I confronted them first. So it said I had to go and talk to them and then log it for a bit, and then they would go and get involved if nothing had changed. And I kind of thought, well, the bit of going to talk to them is the bit that I'm most concerned about, because it just affects a massive roll-on of things. It's not just going to be music then, it's going to be whatever else you have to take offence. They might, for all I know, just to not completely assassinate their character, they might just go, oh, we're really sorry, we completely didn't realise, we feel awful, and that might be fine. But that's getting increasingly less likely, and every bit of advice I'm seeing involves me doing some bits that could jeopardise things before I get anywhere, and that just doesn't seem useful in this scenario.
Of course. Well, we had to contact the council in your area, give them a right to reply. They declined to come on, but they sent us this statement from South Kesteven District Council. They say, we can start to help if you get in touch. We would refer you to either our website, or we'll be happy to talk to you by phone, starting with our customer service team, and they give a number. They say online there is publicly accessible information as well as a form to get in touch with us. I mean, do you think that sounds like a response that understands the severity of your problem, Stephen?
See, this is the advice. I went to the site because they told me to go to the site, and the site says, go talk to your neighbour. It's just like, great, thank you. I considered, it does mention how you can get in touch with the local community support officer, things like that, and I thought escalating it to police seems like an even worse thing to do at this point. I was hoping the council would say, look, we can say, a few of your neighbours have said that this is getting a bit of a problem. Could you think of it? Just some sort of polite letter that's a formal thing that's logged that just says, sort it out. And if it gets worse from there, they can say, again, you've been asked and it's still a problem. And then if it becomes a problem, I don't mind saying, look, you've ignored 2 letters. I'm complaining. I'm sure the neighbours around here are, but we were hoping one of them would as well. We were kind of thinking if somebody else goes first, we can just join them, but no one did.
Well, that's it. I wonder if it's worth knocking on the door of the people on the other side and seeing how they feel about it.
Well, they've invested in a thicker door. I noticed they had
really? Oh, okay.
The other day, and they've just got this big black rubber around their door that I'm assuming is to soundproof it. And I thought their plan is to just burrow down and wait it out, I guess, but that's no good. The council advice hasn't been great. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I mean, you're not alone. As we were saying, complaints about neighbours have doubled during lockdown. This is obviously happening up and down the country. What would you like to see happen from the council or in general to kind of give people in your situation a bit more support? I
just think, the simplest thing, I would have loved it if the council site had just said, we'll send something out just to say, this is a report we've had. It's not going to go any further than this right now, but please consider your actions. And if I got something like that, I'd think, oh, crikey, I wonder what I've done. And I'd think about it. I'd chat to my wife, and we'd think about it and avoid it. If they said my kids were too noisy, my dog was making a noise, something like that, I would make sure I'd fixed it. That would be the end of it. But they don't have that. They're not going to act until we've done something along those lines.
Yeah, Stephen, you have my full sympathy. I hope it gets better. At least hopefully with the rain, like you say, that's a little bit of respite for you. I suppose every cloud, all of that. But I hope it gets better. Thank you so much for talking to us about this, because I know you won't be alone and lots of people listening will completely sympathise and have the same experience. That's Stephen talking about his very frustrating and noisy neighbours in Peterborough.